With Sam, I can.
Get empowered. Reach your financial goals. Visit samican.org.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. 103 right now. Looking at temperatures outside Fargo, right around 10 degrees. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and our one and only amazing, very talented Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. And good afternoon, guys. How's your day going?
So far, so good. It looks like Bridgette is on the road again.
Absolutely. I'm working from the mobile studio today, also known as my pickup cab. And I am in Devil's Lake right now, just stepped away from the Lake Region Roundup put on by North Dakota State University Extension staff up here. And good day, great turnout, lots of growers. Weather's not bad. As you guys warned me yesterday, I had to slow down a little bit for fog and some frost on the roads, but overall, smooth travel for me for once.
Well, that's good
Feeling
because the tornado sirens are blaring right now here in Fargo. I'm looking for a snow-nado out there or something.
That's you, not me.
That's just a test, people. They do that the first Wednesday of every month, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So no snow-nado, it's just a test. I know Dean was getting worried there for a moment. He kept looking over his shoulders.
I was checking radar, making sure everything was okay.
The airplanes are still in the skies, so it's
all good.
Oh, okay,
news.
but wait.
Yes.
There really were some tornadoes in the last week in, like, Illinois, right?
Oh, there's tornadoes right now. Was there one in Illinois? I know that they were down in the Gulf states.
They were down in the Gulf. I don't know if they made it as far north as Illinois or not. We can absolutely check. Why don't you check that right now real quick, and I'll kind of recap
tease what's going on.
I'll
today.
recap our weather here because the clouds are going to hang tight here over the next few days. We'll see a little bit of sun here and there, but we'll have to deal with periodic fog in the mornings as well, and maybe even a few snow showers developing late tomorrow into tomorrow night, but not looking in terms of anything accumulating to worry about. We've got a pretty quiet-looking forecast until maybe the middle of next week. We'll have to wait and see on that, and then a better chance for a storm or two coming in here after the middle of the month. But a lot of severe weather today and yesterday down in the Gulf Coast states, Bridgette, where that storm system that has given a foot of snow to Minneapolis, 26 inches of snow just to the west of Sioux Falls.
Now, those are rookie numbers.
Come on,
step it up.
That's nothing. But that's the same storm that's responsible for the severe weather and tornadoes in the southeast today.
They did reach up to Illinois. There's actually a good handful of reports in the central portion of Illinois. So
see, Bridgette,
look at that. Bridgette, you knew something.
All right. Good.
Today I knew something.
Well,
Tomorrow,
you knew something
not a
about the
chance.
weather, I should say, like tornadoes, because I didn't know they reached that far north. That's pretty crazy.
Welcome to my Twitter world. That's where I get all my official information.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, lots of things with weather to talk about today. I know we've been hearing the atmospheric river blasting into the western portion of the state, and yeah, that's not good news over there. That's some pretty bad weather that they're getting. And then we have the severe weather in the southwest and throughout the central U.S. and all the snow up here. So just active weather right now. But as Dean had mentioned, it does look like we here in the upper northern Red River Valley, or in the, should say, upper Midwest, going to get a little quiet over the next few days. So we'll touch on that forecast throughout the show as well. I got some fun things in the show for today. We'll be talking about track tractors outselling wheeled tractors. About time some people are starting to realize that tracks work pretty good in mud. No, nothing. Oh, a couple. I was trying to get something out of you guys. We talk about robotics and farming, and there's a young farmer working safety course that's now available. So we'll touch on that and a few other things. And Bridgette, we have another guest on today. We're going to be speaking with a reindeer farmer. Is that correct?
We do.
Rancher?
This is up by Rancher, up by Drayton, North Dakota. And we're going to be visiting with Vernon Hoselton, and he's going to share some insights into what's going on in his world. It's not all just reindeer games, and he's not Santa, but he's helpful, just like Santa. So we'll talk to him shortly after this. We'll catch up on news and weather as well. We'll be right back.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. The atmospheric river, they call it, bringing copious amounts of rain and snow to California, stands to put something of a dent in the state's drought.
In recent years, a first snow survey of the season has been on bare ground. This year, it's atop a thick white blanket after so many storms have been moving over California. The California Department of Water Resources measuring over 55 inches of snow on the ground, 177% of average on this date.
ABC's Alex Stone. The House goes back into session at noon today, still trying to decide on a speaker. Kevin McCarthy couldn't get enough support during 3 votes on Tuesday. Some political wags are now talking about alternatives.
Some observers say Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise, the second highest ranking GOP House member, could have the inside track to become Speaker, although he's never expressed interest in the job. Meanwhile, House Democrats are boasting about their unity after choosing their new leader, Hakeem Jeffries. Some Democrats relishing the Republicans' chaos. Congressman Ted Lieu posted an image of himself holding a bag of popcorn, writing, "About to go to the House floor."
ABC's Am Nguyen on Scalise, Republican former Virginia Representative Barbara Comstock.
He's a fairly popular candidate and leader. He's been in leadership for a while. So him not openly campaigning, not necessarily wanting this. I mean, who would want this sort of ungovernable majority?
Gas prices took a big jump up in the past week. The government's national average price for regulars shooting up 13 cents to $3.22 a gallon. NASA confirmed the death of Walter Cunningham, last surviving member of the crew of Apollo 7 in 1968. A family spokesman says Cunningham died in a hospital in Houston, complications of a fall. Apollo 7 was the first mission with a crew following the Apollo 1 tragedy the year before. Walt Cunningham was 90. You're listening to ABC News.
You'd never knowingly feed your pup mystery meat or spoiled grocery store food, so why are those some of the most common protein sources in kibble today? Yep, the dog food ingredient meat meal can be made of spoiled supermarket meat and packing plant scraps.
I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. Your dog needs a biologically appropriate diet similar to what they would eat in the wild. That's why I developed Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw food made with premium cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Bailey is 12 years old. He has been on your food for 9 bags now.
Nature's Blend is pantry safe and has 0 artificial preservatives, additives, filler, or meat meal.
He's got more energy, able to run around and play when our grandson comes.
For a limited time, save 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free pack of premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/Marty or text Marty to 511-511.
I can't thank you enough. He's 12 and I'm enjoying every day with him.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 1 additional text. Text stop to opt out.
Do you suffer with stiff, achy, painful joints? Is pain keeping you from enjoying life to the fullest? Stop joint pain today with Xana Nutrition's A-Calm. A-Calm is a powerful topical cream that helps soothe muscles and sore joints while promoting healthy blood flow. This breakthrough formula is fast-acting and long-lasting, so you can face the day pain-free. It's also loaded with ingredients to help moisturize dry, cracked skin. If you're looking for less pain and more life, A-Calm is your answer. The result is a happier, healthier you. This revolutionary product has helped thousands of people feel better and get back to the lives they deserve. This month only, get 30% off your first order by using promo code 30 at xananutrition.com or by calling 866-420-6700. Again, that's promo code 30 at xananutrition.com or simply call 866-420-6700. Call now or miss out on living the life you deserve.
Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us 112 this afternoon. Temperatures outside of Fargo, nothing impressive. 9 degrees out there, north wind at 18, making it feel about 9 below. So that's a little bit more like normal, I suppose. But the good news is, temperatures aren't going to be too bad out there over the next handful of days, even into the next week. I see temperatures in the teens to lower 20s, and outside of just cloudy and foggy conditions bouncing around the area, I don't think the forecast is too bad out there. Dean, I know you kind of teased on it a little bit, and we were mentioning how bad it is over on the east or the west coast and the Gulf states, and we'll touch on that here in just a moment. But here in North Dakota, the Red River Valley, Lakes Country, Minnesota, what are we expecting over the next couple of days?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, there's still some light snow in Lakes Country right now, and they picked up about 1 to 3 inches. So not a big deal, but the further south you went towards the Twin Cities, again, a foot down there, over 2 feet down around Sioux Falls. As that storm system continues to glide off to the east, that will be replaced by, well, high pressure, but kind of dirty high pressure, as in we'll have a lot of
dirty high.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of clouds with it, so they call that a dirty high pressure.
That doesn't sound fun.
I know. And we'll maybe see a few snow showers Thursday evening, Thursday night, but other than that, we're looking at pretty quiet weather. Really no accumulating snow over the next week to maybe 10 days. Might have something coming in here around the 12th and then around the 18th. The one on the 12th looks like that should pass to our south, but something we'll keep an eye on. And same with the system coming around the 18th. And then still expecting a pretty good Arctic outbreak to push into the area end of this month and into early February, which could rival the one that we had in December. So let's enjoy this quiet weather that we have.
Oh, indeed.
Relatively quiet outside of these mornings where we have areas of dense fog. Other than that, not bad. Not a bad looking forecast. Temperatures pretty much where they should be. No big January thaw I don't see this year. I see maybe a bump up in temperatures into the 30s maybe just after the mid-month, but it won't last long before that Arctic air comes dumping in again.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So,
if y'all remember, like a year ago, it rained at the end of January. So I think there's a lot of folks keeping an eye out for that because that was horrific icy conditions for about 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the whole state.
Yeah, we don't want a repeat of that. And I guess I was reading my Facebook post from last year, and we had a blizzard up and down the valley on this date last year. So big difference a year makes.
Yeah, no kidding. Because what was the 1st of January of 2022?
About 35 below, wasn't it?
It was 38 below in Grand Forks, and I think 36 below in Fargo. So it's quite a bit warmer today.
See, it's warmer this year.
So
there you go.
nice.
See,
Brisk, you guys. It was brisk a year ago in January.
Yeah, brisk. That's definitely brisk. Definitely brisk. But
talking about that iced tea.
Yeah, that's
what we're talking about
That's
here.
stuff.
But we have a guest coming up today, don't we, Bridgette?
We do. We're looking forward to visiting with Vernon Hoselton. I have to always stop and think about how I say his name. It's Vernon Hoselton. He is from the Drayton area, and he raises reindeer. Well, what's the other name for reindeer, guys?
Oh,
Bueller?
elk.
Bueller? No.
I'm going to go with caribou.
That was a good play.
Oh, you see,
Caribou.
I thought it was Samsonite there for a moment. Man, I was
caribou.
way off.
Caribou.
And this will be kind of fun because certainly different. We know that there are some folks that raise elk in the state. This is the first fellow I've run across that would have caribou. And I'm sure around the Christmas holidays, he gets lots of questions about what they do with them. Where do they go? Are these for the hunting crowd? Are we using them to pull Santa's sleigh at the local parks? I'm kind of curious what happens with caribou as well. So looking forward to asking that and the differences of what happens between, other livestock owners. But what are you doing with your cattle versus that you would do differently when you're raising an animal like this? So I think this will be sort of fun, a little something different. And tomorrow we will also have another guest from the northern end of the Red River Valley, and that will be Mike Swanson. Mike is with Far North Spirits, and they are a local distillery in the Roseau, Minnesota area, and they do local. They take in local corn and grains in order to do their spirit brewing. Now, I was hoping to have Mike in studio tomorrow. Unfortunately, he's not feeling well enough to come down and bring us samples. So I guess we're just going to have to talk to him over the phone and over video. But I'll work out those details with him this afternoon. Yeah, we'll get that. We'll do that here in our next segment, so it should be great.
Sweet. And hey, we love breweries on here, so if we can. Where's he out of? Roseau?
Up by Roseau.
All right, hey, road trip then.
Maybe.
If he can't make it in, we can do road trip.
I was going to say, this bottle of hand sanitizer doesn't seem like it would make a good sample.
I'm actually headed up that direction next week. So number one, road's got to be clear, guys. And number two, maybe I could talk Mike into giving me something to bring back to you. We'll see if that'll work.
There we go. So stay tuned. That and so much more is on the way with Weather and Ag in Focus.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Gah, I'm so stressed about my business not being ready for the holidays.
Uma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Uma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Uma?
Yep. Switching to Uma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Uma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Uma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Uma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Polls keep showing a very tight race between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. This could be the biggest political battle ever. Now Newsmax wants to know what you think. They're conducting an urgent poll asking if President Trump should continue his run for president again. Or is DeSantis better? Vote in the Newsmax poll on Donald Trump. All you need to do is text the word ZONE to 39747. Again, that's the word ZONE to 39747. Let your voice be heard. I watch Newsmax for the news I can trust. Newsmax is carried on every major cable system. If your cable system doesn't carry them, call them and demand it. Be sure to vote a Newsmax poll on whether Trump should run again. Text ZONE to 39747. That's ZONE to 39747. And make the switch to Newsmax. You won't look back.
Bored with the same old menu, the same old fixtures? It's time to establish new traditions like we have at Traditions Restaurant and Bar. They have great breakfast items like their Frenchata Toast, Eggs Benny, and their Bloody Mary. Wow! Traditions has multiple happy hours, a new party room where you can celebrate occasions, big or small. They have darts, blackjack, pool, electronic pull tabs, and a liquor store to take the party home. Start a new tradition at Traditions Restaurant and Bar, conveniently located at 3330 Cheyenne Street South in West Fargo.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. So glad that you are here joining us today. I'm Bridgette Readel. I'm Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, as well as Meteorologist Extraordinaire. Yep, that's back. Justin Storm.
Missing that.
I knew you were feeling a little left out, so I'm glad we could bring this back.
My
Dean
ego
just
was
gave you the look
shrinking.
like, whatever. Dean could care less. I like that one. It is good to have the gang back together, and we have an addition today, and that is a gentleman on the phone from Drayton, North Dakota. It is Vernon Hoselton. Vern has a unique enterprise going on at his ranch. He's got reindeer. Vern, hello. Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus.
Hello. Good to be with you guys.
Well, we're glad you're here, and we've got a lot of interesting questions. And I'm going to start out by just saying, how does one start ranching reindeer in the northern end of the Red River Valley?
Well, I know many years ago I raised buffalo for 10 years, and I didn't have enough area for them to go in. My wife asked me what she wanted to go into next, and reindeer came out of my mouth, and she spent the next 5 years investigating things and getting things ready so we could get into them.
And Vern, how many caribou or deer, reindeer do you have?
I have 10 right now, and I got 5 pregnant cows.
Now, how are they to raise? Are they easier than other livestock, or is it a little more difficult?
They're awful close, about the same. You know, you still got to watch them on diseases and all this other stuff. But the only difference is being the reindeer, and I show them, I have to be licensed by USDA. The state is unlicensed by the state, so I got both them watching me on all mine, and a lot more paperwork than a lot of the other animals are.
So why do you have to be licensed to have caribou?
Because they are considered exotic or whatever, and they're not domesticated animal.
I see. So is this something that you can continue to do year-round, or do you need to ship the caribou somewhere in the summer because they get too hot?
No, they stay right here year-round. I run fans on them in the summertime to try to keep them cool enough and flies and stuff off them.
Right. And for some people, you know, we don't see caribou around too often out here. How big is a caribou? How does it compare to, say, like a deer or something?
They're getting close to them. I know some of them are going to be a little taller depending on their genetics. I know they are. I got one steer out here that when I bought him, I think he weighed 450 pounds, so he's a good-sized animal.
Oh, that is a big one. How big can they get? I mean, is that kind of up on the upper limit, you know, 400 or 500 pounds, or can they get heavier than that?
I think
being healthy.
Yeah, there might be some of them get a little healthier. I do know that like say the farther north that the animals are, the smaller they are, and as farther south they are, the bigger they are. So there is a difference in everybody, and even like you're talking caribou, that's North American reindeer basically, but the reindeer like I have came from Russia many years ago. And there is about a month difference in when they calve. So there's many difference in the genetics of them throughout.
I see.
So when do they calve, Vern? When you said there's a slightly different schedule, is this a normal springtime calving? Is it more of a fall? When does that happen?
It's more of a normal springtime in April, May. I might wind up one to come up in late March, but it's all in that same general area at that time wise.
Okay. And do you ear tag them? Do you vaccinate like you would with beef animals? I mean, how do you handle that from the time that calf is born? Anything additional that you do for them?
Not really. We just kind of watch them, take care of them, and we don't do that much for vaccination around here. I did in the past, when I first got them in, I did some of them, but it didn't seem to make much difference on them, so I just let them be all natural and let them, you know, take care of themselves as much as they can unless they do come down with something.
So you said that these caribou came from Russia. Are they a direct import? Did you have someone within the United States that you worked with in order to bring them to your farm? How did that happen?
Well, the import happened roughly about 1887 with the U.S. government and missionaries brought them into Alaska because the caribou were getting a little scarce at that particular time. So they brought reindeer in so the Inuits could have an animal that they could raise themselves rather than be out in the wild.
Okay. I'm sorry, my mind is just going with all sorts of questions. So diet, do you treat these much like you would with a beef or a dairy animal? Does their diet differ a whole lot versus other livestock?
They do differ a little bit. I have a special feed that I do give them that is conformed just for reindeer. And then I feed them the sugar beet pulp. And in the wintertime, I give them alfalfa.
So they have a sweet tooth. They like sugar beet pulp. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's just like candy to them.
Well, it kind of is to me, too. So I guess I'm on the same line as your caribou. So for those who are listening, if you have questions for Vern, you are welcome to call us at 701-293-9000 because I know Dean and Justin and I are going to ask a lot of questions, but what's something that might be on your mind? Well, you call us and share that. And that leads to, Vern, what's the most common question you get about your caribou?
There's so many of them come out about saying, used to say when they first come in there that these are Rudolph's cousins. So I kind of help the kids along a little bit.
And
I like that she used that.
Right. And Vern, do you bring do you have tours of your facility for the kids, or do you bring the reindeer like to local events during the holidays for the kids?
We do a lot of local events throughout the Christmas holiday. We do once in a while. If somebody wants to come out, we'll let a school come out or something to enjoy them. I know we've had a nursing home that isn't too far away from us, and like I say, the youngest I had out was 105.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's awesome.
And do they shed their rack every year like deer, or is it pretty similar?
Antlers or horns?
They're rack.
They're antlers.
Yeah.
They're antlers because they're solid, and they do shed them every year. The males, which I'm waiting for mine to shed theirs pretty quick here. They usually got them shed by now, but they're getting a little lazy this year. And the females, they'll shed theirs depending if they're pregnant enough. If they're pregnant, they'll shed about the same time the males will. If not, they'll hold them till either just before calving or just after calving.
And how many other people around the area are doing the same thing with caribou and reindeer? Are there other folks around here that have caribou farms?
In North Dakota, no, I'm the only one in North Dakota. There are some down by the cities, Minnesota, and throughout the nation. There's quite a few of them that are raising them.
Interesting. So how far out have people reached out to you, say they want to use your reindeer, or they want to ask if you can bring them to some event? What's the widest range that you've had people reaching out to you?
Just this season, we've been in out the Williston area a couple times, Minot. We had one in Bismarck, but the weather had to cancel that one. And we do quite a few locally around here, and then we have one down in South Dakota we go to.
Cool. Interesting. Well, hang on there for a second there, Vern. We're going to hit bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a short break. But if you're out there listening, you got a question, you want to get that answered, feel free to do so. Give us a call, 701-293-9000. Again, that phone number is 701-293-9000. You can also visit our Facebook and YouTube page where we are live streaming the show every single day, Monday through Friday, and you can get to see some of the video of Vern's caribou or reindeer on there as well. Stay tuned because Weather and Ag in Focus will be right back.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. 1, okay, cool guy. 2, 3 times. Next, oh, I put it in reverse. Meep, meep, meep. Then I take it up and down, up and down. And that, kiddos, is called the forklift.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now that's dancing. Sure beats flossing.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
2.2 million American Indians and Alaska Natives are important members of our country's diverse culture. A world where today's American Indian and Alaska Native children grow up to enjoy the highest levels of physical, emotional, and spiritual life is one you can help create. Join us at the Indian Health Service to provide care today that will change their tomorrows. Learn more about scholarships, loan repayment, and health careers at ihs.gov/career ops.
At the Children's Museum at Yonker Farm, there's a lot to do and a lot to see. Oh, the Children's Museum at Yonker Farm, it's a hands-on place for discovery. Children's Museum at Yonker Farm, there's a lot to do and a lot to see. Oh, the Children's Museum at Yonker Farm, it's a hands-on place for discovery.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. 1, okay, cool guy. 2, 3 times. Next, oh, I put it in reverse. Meep, meep, meep. Then I take it up and down, up and down. And that, kiddos, is called the forklift.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now that's dancing. Sure beats flossing.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Bonnie Amistadi from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up on our next show, we're going to get details on the West Fargo Gun Show. It's this weekend at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. And we want to do a follow-up with M-State professor Shannon Moan. He has an electric vehicle. How did it hold up during that cold snap right around Christmas time? We heard a story of a brother and sister who traveled across country and they had to keep stopping because their electric vehicle wouldn't hold a charge in the cold. And we want to find out how he's faring. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
The Jay Thomas Show.
How's it going today?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
Hey, I got an old buddy of mine named Tim Gast. He's probably about a late 50s, early 60s vintage. He doesn't work very hard or very long, but he does still work.
Uh-oh. We got a situation.
I'll leave that at that. Thanks, Jay.
The Jay Thomas Show, weekday afternoons at 2 here on WDAY.
Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus here on WDAY. I'm Bridgette, Readel Ag Director, joined by Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Justin Storm, as I refer to him as the Meteorologist Extraordinaire. It's 1:35 in the afternoon, and we have a caller on the line who wants to visit with our guest. Our guest is Vernon Hoselton. Vern raises reindeer, also known as caribou, up by Drayton, North Dakota, at the northern end of the Red River Valley. And Mike, on line 1, go ahead with your question for us, please.
I was just wondering if you have a source of income to help you defray your expenses from these animals, or is it just purely a hobby for you? Do they sell antlers, for instance?
Yeah, I do sell some of the antlers and stuff throughout, and I do work full time besides, but it's more of kind of a hobby that's trying to get into more of a business area of things. I know it for the price of the animals now, you got to think twice about what you're going to do on things.
Is it are they a source of meat, or is it just strictly other types of products?
They are one of the most universal animals. They're the biggest export in Alaska has been reindeer meat for quite a few years. You can ride them, pack animal, milk them, like you say. 1 drop of reindeer milk will turn black coffee white. I get my brain going straight here.
Wow.
Yeah, they are. Whatever you need to do with them, you can usually do with it.
Well, that's very interesting. I appreciate your information.
Yeah, thanks for calling there, Mike.
Yeah, goodbye.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That 1 drop of caribou milk will turn a cup of black coffee white? Really?
That's awesome.
What I read one time.
Wow.
Now it explains caribou coffee's name, doesn't it?
Oh, man.
There you go.
I get it now.
And Vern, I mean, you touched on, or the last caller, that was one of the questions we had as well, as when it comes time to retire the animals, do you, I mean, are they, for better words, used for meat, or do you sell them once they get to a certain age?
I've never totally retired one yet. They just kind of, when they get certain age, whether they pass away for whatever reason, that I use them for shows as long as I can.
Okay.
What's the lifespan on a caribou? How long do these things usually live for?
They say, like in the wild, they were about 10 years old. But I know I've had some guys talking about them. I think we've had one that was about 13 or more. And, you know, if everything, you take care of them like you would yourself and everything, they're going to last a little longer for you.
So, Vern, when you said like taking care of them, do you feed specifically any minerals or supplements to help with their antler growth? Because it sounds like that's a source of income, or that's a desirable item off the caribou, is maybe raising those bigger racks. And is that something you can actually do through diet?
Yes, to some aspect. I know whatever I've used, I've always had some pretty good sized racks on them. And I know the reindeer is one that the craftspeople love because they are easiest to work with.
Wow. Okay. And so just so many other things here. Now, you mentioned earlier that you've got pregnant cows, so that tells me you obviously have a bull somewhere too, or where you might be getting genetics for the breeding.
Yeah, I got 2 bulls. I got 2 separate pastures going. I started that last year, and I got another bull, so I wasn't buying a separate bull every other year. So this way I can continue my growth without having to put out the extra money to try to locate a male that is going to do what I want to.
Where do you find a male? Is there some sort of North American reindeer dating service? Is there somebody raising caribou in the U.S. someplace, or how are you finding other producers?
There are quite a few other producers around. I know I've been dealing last few years with a guy out in Washington State, and I know the male, that steer that I bought, he came from Indianapolis. So there are some around the area, but right now they weren't breeding so much, so the price of them gone completely ridiculous on things. But
okay,
just like everything else, right?
Yeah.
Are they friendly? As someone who grew up with beef and dairy animals, we'd occasionally have a critter that wasn't exactly so nice. What are caribou like? What's their misdemeanor? Or their demeanor? Sorry, not a misdemeanor, but their
Maybe
demeanors.
they're getting misdemeanors.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, they, for the most part, they're not too bad on things, except for the male that goes into rut.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had one male that I could walk out to pasture and I'd get one eye on me, no problem. I've had the other extreme where my wife walked out of the door of the house and he was right at the fence ready to come at her. So it all depends on how their genetics are and everything. And over the years, I've learned, like the one that was real nasty and rut, I can calm him down a little bit with some depot and stuff and he'll still be able to breed. So there's a lot of information that comes out through the years that we've picked up.
I see. And what about with the the moms and the calves? How are they? Because as Bridgette has mentioned before, with beef cattle, you don't get between mama and her baby, but with dairy cattle, it's a little different, and usually they just don't even bat an eye when you take it away, as Derek was mentioning to us, one of our guests the other day. How do the caribou do with babies? Do you have to separate them at all, or do you just let them stick around?
I have just let them stick around, and we're starting to pull them off mama about 3 months so we can work with them a little bit. I know my wife has done real well over the years of getting them tamed down and used to it, so they're not so difficult to get halter broke and everything.
Okay, you said halter broke, so that brings up a good point. And I've heard you mention through our discussion today that you use these as show animals. Are you talking about like petting zoos or a competition where you're taking them through a show ring? Exactly walk us through what you're doing with them there.
No, we just take them out through the Christmas season and set them up, and could be inside a mall or outside wherever they want us, just so that people can actually see what the reindeer looks like.
That's awesome. And do you ever have concerns, like do you need vet papers to cross the state lines when you go down to South Dakota or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I get all that stuff taken care of and everything. So being we travel through different states and everything else, yeah, we got to have a lot of paperwork done to keep everything going.
So what did your local vet say when you told him you're moving from Buffalo and bringing in some caribou?
She didn't say too much because she's my sister.
Oh, that's even better, Vern. I really like that. There's no arguments at Christmas. Vern's just getting the caribou.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this.
You know, I was wondering, because you had mentioned that there's no one else that kind of do caribou in North Dakota, and I have no idea if caribou are even around our area or not. I know we get elk occasionally coming down through here, but where are caribou native to, or where do you usually find them in the wild?
The caribou themselves are going to be up in Alaska, northern Canada, and all that area up there. And then, like you say, the reindeer, which has a little different genetics than the caribou has, they're all up in like the Lapland area and all that toward northern Europe.
Vern, you use your animals, your caribou, mostly for show, but do you know some other producers who use them as almost a work animal? Like you said, they can be used as pack animals, maybe in hunting expeditions. Are you familiar with anyone using in that purpose as well?
I know there are quite a few of them that use them in the Christmas season to pull a sleigh, and I know it's one thing I've always wanted to do, but when we should be training them into pulling the sleigh. That's in the farming area. When I was farming and stuff here, was the busiest time of my year. So as things are hopefully going to slow down one of these days for me in that aspect, we can possibly get them trained to pull the sleigh and everything, so we can do more shows in that aspect.
That would be fun.
This might be my last big question, but I know that some antlered animals go through a velvet stage, but not all. Do caribou go through the velvet stage?
Yeah, caribou go through a velvet stage. As they were growing, they have the velvet on, and which, if you see the antler when the velvet is off, you can see a line inside the antler a little bit there, and that's where the blood vessel was. That carries the nutrition it needs for the antlers to grow. When they are in full velvet, you can hold on to their antler and you can feel their pulse.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That'd be
kind
of goofy or kind of freaky. And for some of those out there, the velvet stage, they may not understand what that is. That's the when the antlers have you'd call it the fur on it, right? Or the hairs?
Yeah, it's got skin with fur on it that protects the antlers as growing in its soft stage.
I see. That's interesting. I had no idea that if you did that. Do you know what? Can you do that with like deer? Is that kind of a similar process? You'd be able to feel the heartbeat?
I would guess so.
Huh. Well, that's really
anything with the velvet on them, I would say it'd be awful close to about the same aspect.
Well, we've been speaking with Vernon Hoselton from Drayton, North Dakota. Caribou or reindeer? Is it reindeer or caribou? I know you said that there was a difference between the genetics. Which one is it that you have? Was it the caribou?
We have the reindeer.
The reindeer. Okay, the ones out of Russia.
Okay.
Well, he's got a ranch with some reindeer on it. We've been chatting with him for about the last 25 minutes or so. If you got any questions out there, where you can send them over to us at weather or ag@flagfamily.com, we can reach those out to Vern to get them answered. But that's going to conclude our interview here. So, Vern, we want to thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us all about the reindeer and what it is that you got going on up there in Drayton.
Yeah, thank you much for that. And it's been a nice, interesting venture on things to see the people's faces just for the first time they see them.
Right. Well, if you ever see any reindeer at an event, it's probably a pretty good bet that it maybe came from Vern's ranch. So maybe keep an eye out. Maybe you'll get to see some reindeer here in the upcoming season. But that'll do it for us here for this interview. We're going to take a short moment, get updated with the American Ag Network, and when Weather and Ag in Focus returns, well, we still got our ag topics we need to take a look at, and if we have time, we'll take another short look at that forecast for you. So stay tuned. Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be right back.
There are over 9 billion animals raised on farms and ranches across the country each year. For far too long, those animals were not afforded protections to ensure their humane treatment and care. Luckily, times have changed, and more farmers are raising their animals in accordance with American Humane's ethical and science-based standards. American Humane is this country's first national humane organization and is committed to working with farmers to offer ethically driven consumers humanely raised products. The next time you're in the grocery store, be sure to choose products that are American Humane certified. The purchasing decisions you make each week can positively impact the lives of billions of animals on our nation's farms and ranches. Live better, live healthy, be humane. To learn more, visit AmericanHumane.org.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Grain and oilseed markets under pressure again on Wednesday, led by Chicago and KC wheat to the downside. You're listening to the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this closing market update. Well, it was another rough day in grains and oilseeds on Wednesday. Chicago KC wheat, spring wheat with sharp losses leading the trade to the downside. That spilled over into the corn market and spilled over to soybeans too after we had some early support in the soybean complex. Hogs started higher, ended up under pressure. The cattle market was in the green though on the day Wednesday, especially feeder cattle taking advantage of the drop in corn prices. Crude oil remains under pressure, down at 3% on the day Wednesday. Stock market back and forth, up just slightly as well. Overall, it appears more fund liquidation, fund selling being seen in the grain and oilseed complex. We saw plenty of that on the day Tuesday and the first trading day of the new year, and it appears we had more of that on the day Wednesday as well. It'll be interesting to watch how these markets continue to move as we work through the rest of this week ahead. Final numbers on Wednesday. Corn for March, that was down 16 3/4, 653 3/4. July corn down 15 1/2, 649 1/4. March soybeans down 8 3/4, 1483 1/2. July down 9 1/4, 1493 1/2. January bean meal up 570 a ton, 482.50. January bean oil down 5 points, 63.11. March Chicago wheat 30 lower, 745 1/2. July down 28 1/2, 758. March Kansas City wheat down 28 1/2, 840 3/4. Spring wheat for March down 15, 904 1/4. July down 14 1/2, 891. February hogs down $1, 84.07. April down 90, 92.90. Feeder cattle January up 252, 185.22. March up 345, 188.22. February live cattle up 42, 157.27. April live cattle up 55, 161.42. That's a look at how the market trade closed on Wednesday. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And boy, that was interesting. And what did he say? He had 10?
He had 10 and
10
he had
reindeer?
5 pregnant ones. So he's either going to have 15 or maybe up to 20. I don't know. Do reindeer have
It's
twins?
very cool. I bet they can, because if you think about deer, they have twins, and I've seen that fairly often. So actually, I wouldn't be really surprised if there could be twins.
Yeah, that'd be. We should have asked that question,
right? Well, egg topics. What are we covering here this afternoon?
Well, we got some fun ones. Why don't we? Well, I don't know. Which one do we want to start off with? I'm going to give it just a randomized one. Pick a number 1 through 4, Dean.
4.
All right, we're going to do the one I wanted to do anyways. Robotics and farming. Bridgette, what's going on with that?
Okay, guys. So we know that it's pretty high tech when you start looking at what happens in farming on a regular basis. But there are 13 different companies that are coming online with a tremendous amount of new robotics. The University of Cambridge actually has a fully remote system to help with lettuce harvest. Usually it's pretty robot resistant because of its proximity to the ground, how fragile the plant is. But now they have a robot where one camera scans the lettuce, gives a thumb up or thumb down for the harvest. A second camera is positioned near a blade. It then guides a pick that without crushing the plant, it can pick the plant and harvest it. And then actually it's a machine learning algorithm that teaches the robot how to avoid unripe or diseased lettuce. So your salad may no longer just be done by hand. You could have a robot that's harvesting it now.
Interesting.
There's another, when it comes to fresh fruits, there is a company out of Israel that's working on developing a harvester. This would also use computer vision to identify the ripe fruit, and it emulates the motion of human hands when picking apples. It appears to be 10 times faster than current hand labor, and they are looking at receiving funding from the European Union's Horizon Research Program in order to further the work. As we all know, labor is hard to find. The more often that we can do some of these do some of these operations mechanically, it's labor saving when you don't have enough people and your product is ripe and it has to be harvested right now. So especially in the fruit and veggie market, these are some pretty big steps in innovation to bring that product to market in a timely fashion. I think those two are pretty cool just to start right there. Lots of stuff going on with weeds as well and being able to control weeds.
Right. Well, that's super interesting. And I'm going to ask you a little debate question here. I know we've always heard the conversation, if it ain't red, keep it in the shed, or it's got to be green all day, and we all have our preferences. But tell me, Bridgette, what's better, tracks or wheels on a tractor?
I'm going to ask you if it's muddy or not.
It's always muddy.
Okay. So right now, especially in this region, we have some of the highest ownership rates of four-wheel drive tractors. The Steiger four-wheel drive was actually developed in Red Lake Falls, Minnesota. Then it went to a purchase to Case NH, and Case now produces them in Fargo. Well, they've always been a wheeled tractor, but in the last few years they've moved to a track tractor. They're similar to like a tank, right? You've got four little tracks that move it. Well, for the first time, tracked tractor sales have exceeded wheeled tractor sales, and especially because of the hot used equipment market that's out there. It's like trying to buy a good used car. People are willing to buy the tractor. Oftentimes they're even converting them over to the tracks because they're easier to maintain. They work better in muddy situations. And also, if you have soils with a high amount of clay, etc., and you're worried about compaction, your tracks spread out your weight and do a better job of avoiding compaction than what you might see with a wheeled tractor. So in your farming simulator game, are you buying tracks or wheels, Justin, or what will you do differently?
You know, it depends on where I'm farming, actually, but in the past one, I would be buying tracks because it would be a little bit of a more wet climate, and the wheels would just slip and you wouldn't get very good traction. So I switched to tracks, and it's kind of interesting because I wanted to ask that to the listeners out there. With the past spring that came through, do you think that people with tractors were able to get into their fields a little bit sooner than those with wheels up here?
I think that's a good question. You will probably have the argument from some that they could travel certain fields faster, or maybe not faster, but they could travel
Get
them
it in
sooner
earlier?
than if they were using a regular tire tractor. So that may make the difference. It also will depend some on what implement they're pulling. What are they
Right.
using behind them that could be more of a concern as well? What do they need to use there?
Right. Well,
I think tracks are pretty neat to look at, and I understand that they are also a little bit easier to work on from time to time than what you may have faced when some of the tractor tires in the past.
interesting, yeah. So if we got a couple minutes, if you want to reach out to us, let us know if you've been on tires, you switch to tracks, and you like it better, give us a call. Let us know what it's like. 701-293-9000. In the meantime, Dean, why don't we take another look at the forecast, see what's going on around the area?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, our weather is pretty quiet as a storm system exits Minnesota. It's kind of spinning over the state right now, giving an additional light amounts, snowing lightly around Wahpeton and over into Lakes country. But other than that, most of this is starting to wind down. If you're leaving for Frisco today and you're going through South Dakota, it's a mess on 29. It's totally snow covered. And once you get past Sioux City, things improve quite a bit. But tomorrow will be much, much better
With
day
the
to
snow
travel.
that just fell down there, I know we've been getting a lot of reports of some pretty impressive numbers. What's the biggest number you've seen fall?
26 inches just to the west of Sioux Falls they had. But in and around Sioux Falls, it was a good 12 to 18. And it was a good foot around the Twin Cities. So, again, that's another system that misses us to the south. And that's okay because they need the moisture down there. Now we go on a quiet stretch of weather with temperatures a little below normal in the teens to around 20. A little bit of snow shower activity possible tomorrow and evening tomorrow night, but nothing to worry about there. And then we'll be keeping an eye on maybe getting some measurable snow in here later next week. And then a little bit after the middle of the month. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But no big storms on the horizon. Unlike the West Coast, they are getting absolutely lambasted with storm after storm after storm. Unfortunately, that's going to lead to a lot of flooding out there. It's going to lead to a lot of snow at the higher elevations, but it's going to lead to a lot of flooding.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of life-threatening weather
Yeah.
out there. And I
You'll be
saw
seeing
something today that San Jose had already issued I think it was a state of emergency for the upcoming amount of rain, where in some spots in northern California, a foot of rain is possible.
Now, this is good news when it comes to the snowpack because that's all going to melt in spring. And, boy, it's been so dry out there. So this is great news for the drought conditions that have been out in California. So that'll help a little bit and, kind of fill up some of those reservoirs come spring as well.
Yeah, will be. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus. And I kind of forgot to reach out to Vern, ask him to plug his Facebook page. So I'll do that right now. If you want to get in contact with Vern, ask him any questions, or maybe you want to see if you can set up an event with him using his reindeer, you can head over to his Facebook page. It's Reindeer Ranch, Drayton, North Dakota, and you can get his contact information through there. But we want to thank you for joining us today on Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We got another great guest. We hope that we get to have you join us tomorrow, but that'll do it here. We're going to step away for the Jay Thomas Show. That'll be starting here in about 6 minutes.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM.